Okay. Hello, Harleen.
Hi, Brenda.
How are you? How's your day and how's your week going so far?
I think it's great. As of today, it's quite sunny in the morning, but now I think it's probably gonna rain soon. How about you? How's your day going so far? How
Yeah,
was
yeah,
your
no,
weekend?
good. It's been a busy day, but really good. It's been a busy week, and you're right. It's finally, I feel like spring finally is here. I don't think we're gonna get any more snow, so that's good. I think that's
Yeah,
really good. Um, Thank you for taking the time for meeting up with me today. I have gone through and read through your application, your resume, and I've got it in front of me here. So the intent today, Harleen, is to just ensure that your background, learn a little bit more about you, and ensure that you're a good fit for the program. So with that in mind, I'll also leave time towards the end of our conversation for any questions that you may have for me. So any questions to start, or shall I begin?
I think it's great. Let's start and see how it goes.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, as I mentioned, I've got your resume in front of me here, but it's helpful if you can just kind of just very briefly, just a high level walkthrough of your experiences as well.
Definitely. So, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak with me today. I begin my career with a bachelor's degree in computer science in India. And in 2018, I moved to Canada to pursue my master's in computer engineering at the University of Ottawa, and where I received my first full-time role, and I can say the promotion while building my career in a new country. And over the past decade, my work has developed at the intersection of data, technology delivery, people, and leadership across academia, telecommunications, public sector, and real estates. And at the University of Ottawa, I led enterprise IT product initiatives supporting institutional operations. Before that, at Ericsson, I worked across global product, engineering, and operations teams on large and complex data programs. At the Canada Revenue Agency, I served as the data product lead, delivering an executive performance dashboard used by more than 250 senior leaders to support the national decision making. And as of now at JCI Ottawa, I progressed from director to president and now advisor, leading strategic planning and digital modernization initiatives that strengthened organizational visibility and governance continuity. And I can say more recently, I've been expanding my perspective on AI enabled transformation through agentic AI product work, which has strengthened my interest in contributing to add the blend of technology, strategy, data, and organizational impact. And I can say outside of my work, I enjoy exploring different cuisines through cooking and staying current with emerging AI trends through community learning and technical blogs. And also, I enjoy shopping as a way to reflect, recharge, and relax. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
I'm happy to go into the details if you would like me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Harleen. So can you tell me a little bit about what is driving, what's your motivation in terms of pursuing an MBA and specifically this program at Smith?
I think it's a great question. So, over the past years, I've been leading enterprise data and technology transformation initiatives that support decision making at scale. More recently, my role has begun shifting from delivering transformation programs to contributing to conversations around investment priorities and AI-enabled strategy. And that transition, I can say, is exactly why this is the right fit and time for me to pursue an MBA. And at this stage, I'm looking forward to strengthen my capabilities in areas like finance, strategy, operations, economic, and industry analysis. And I'm also interested in digital transformation, data analytics, and AI-driven business decision environments. And what I can see attracts me to Smith basically is how intentionally the program prepare leaders, right, to operate in environments shaped by technical change, global uncertainty, and evolving organizational expectations. And I think which that closely reflects the transformation environments I'm already working in. So I can say I'm also particularly drawn to the team-based cohort model and live faculty interaction because throughout my career, I've been in the strongest decisions emerge site when diverse perspectives are aligned across functions and stakeholders. And I think that structure mirrors how leadership actually happens in complex spaces.
Okay, that's great. Um, I see that you already have a master's degree, so maybe just the opportunity to share, why another master's degree?
Definitely. I think, as I already mentioned, I'm coming from a background where I earned my master's degree in 2018 from University of Ottawa. And I think to succeed in the current emerging world, where I really want to see myself into another leadership ladder. And I think to reach that specific position and leadership, and specifically, I can say the MBA will going to play an elemental role towards my career trajectory.
Okay, okay. And then, so speaking of your career, can you share a little bit more about your career goals? Short term, right after you graduate, do you hope to get a promotion in some capacity, and maybe more medium and longer term?
I think that's really important question, right? And I'm happy to answer this question in the way you asked me. And I can say that career goals for me depends upon several factors, right? In short term, I really want to help my existing organization to understand where the organization is heading, what kind of opportunities I can bring to the table in terms of investment in bringing the coherence across the team, and how I can make sure my current organization, that is GCA Ottawa, can get more sponsors. In the longer term perspective, I can say being a part of, as I'm looking forward to step into a larger organization where the impact of leadership stays ahead of the current AI emerging organization, where I can bring my learnings after completing the MBA from Queen's University will boost my career towards the organizational planning perspective, where the organization can get high ROI, and the organization can be benefited from my learnings and the skills which I bring along the MBA experience.
Okay, and so then can you have like a little more specifics in terms of the type of company you'd like to work in? Do you want to stay in Ottawa, or will you relocate? Yeah, just and like you want to stay in the technology domain, just maybe a little bit more details.
So for me, I think as I'm coming from a diverse background, right, as I explained earlier, I'm open to explore new organizations with different perspective. And in terms of staying only in Ottawa, I think I'm very quite flexible. I'm exploring opportunities outside Ottawa zone as well. So I'm open to anywhere in Canada, US. Yeah.
But then, so from a functional, so you're not really tied to a particular industry because you have um, a diverse background, but functionally, like what title of roles appeal to you?
In terms of positions, I believe I'm currently targeting director of program management, right? Group product manager level positions where I can actually implement the learnings which I gained so far across my previous organizations.
Okay, okay, thank you for that. Uh, Can you share a little bit about, what you do? What's your habit to stay current with what's going on in I would say, the overall markets and the economy, to stay current with what's going on in the sort of the business world, so to speak? Like, what do you read? What do you watch? What do you listen to stay up to speed?
I think it's a very thoughtful question, right? To answer to your question, I can say I am a person who is always curious to learn and make sure I'm ahead of the current game. If I talk about in terms of AI, so I think I did a few certifications so that I can understand the nuances and how we can actually gain perspectives from the current changing world in terms of AI era, such as I did agentic AI product management and AI product leadership so that I can gain the valuable perspectives, how AI is changing the previous flows as in terms of automating the systems, building the workflows with the help of AI and leadership perspective. That is one thing, but to make sure I understand the other perspectives in the ongoing world, I read newspapers, right? I also make sure I understand the prevailing situations which the current economy is facing, such as inflation, right? Iron and global price changing economy sectors. So I make sure I understand the current affairs by making sure I make my impact across the whole globe. Because coming from a business leader, I should know what the economy is currently facing and what are the negatives and positives of being a business leader in current world.
Yeah, so you say read newspapers. Which newspapers do you read, and are there any other like podcasts you listen to, or any I don't know, things that you subscribe to?
So currently, I prefer to read. Definitely, podcast is one of my radar. And in terms of reading the newspapers, I prefer to read Economic Times. It gives us the insights about what happened yesterday, what is the current rate of any stocks, because of the companies, they fired several employees, right? And the stock changes on a regular basis. So I make sure I read those articles, newspapers on a regular basis, and I subscribe to few podcasts to make sure I am up to the speed and aware about the ever-changing world.
So one of the articles that you would have read in the Economic Time, or yeah, you said the Economic Times.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, can you share an article you read recently that would make for a wonderful or a really rich class discussion?
Definitely. So I think one of the current and biggest issue in the economy is geopolitical energy, right? And I think the geopolitical tension continue to affect the energy pricing and supply chain predictability. Due to that, people are facing extreme tensions across several sectors, and there is also inflation going on. And based on the current changing demands and the tension between the industries and across the people's livelihood creates a huge impact on their careers as well as on their health. So, because the uncertainty in terms of energy is quite redundant, right? And make sure we understand how we can actually resolve that. So, I read this latest article from one of the podcasters as well.
Excellent.
They are listened, yeah.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Harleen. Um, our values at Smith are incredibly important to us, and we hope that our students embody all or most of those values. Can you share with me, maybe pick one of the values, and are you able to share a specific example of how you embodied that value?
Sure. Let me explain how the Queen's value resonates with my own value, and then I can actually connect my situation with that, right? So, what resonates with me about Queen's value is how closely they reflect how I already try to lead, right? For example, I value integrity and evidence-based decision making, which shaped my work. For example, at the Canada Revenue Agency, I supported executive dashboards that was used for national planning. I also strongly connect with the responsibility and developing others, which guided my leadership journey at JCI Ottawa. And I think by making sure my alignment stays as it is with Queen's values, I see Smith is not just a program for me, but as a leadership journey and community I'm excited to contribute.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you for that. How do you go about defining leadership, Harleen? And can you share an example of that best demonstrates that your definition of leadership? An example from your past.
Sure. I think if I want to summarize myself in a few words in terms of leadership style and the perspective towards it, I would really describe as collaborative, structured, and people oriented. I actually focus on creating clarity across teams, right? So everyone understands the different perspectives, not just what we are delivering, but why it matters and how their work connects to the broader outcome. And I can say across my roles at JCA Ottawa, Canada, Ericsson, and as a adjunct professor at Algonquin, I've worked with diverse stakeholders, right? So alignment and mentorship has been central to how I lead. And from one of my examples at JCI Ottawa, I help people to make sure they are connected towards their decision management skills and development management capability. And that kind of collaborative and structured approach helped me to create alignment across diverse sectors. And I think for me, leadership means creating an space where people contribute confidently and strong results are achieved together.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. Can you share an example of a time? Well, sorry, I'll give some context to this question. Um, a lot of people coming into the program, most people, if not all of them, have very busy lives to start with, busy careers, family commitments, whatnot. Um, and so it's important that people come in with the skill set of an ability to manage various and competing priorities. Are you able to share an example of a time where you did such, where you were able to manage various competing priorities?
Uh, yeah, I think that's something I've been very intentional about preparing for, right? So I can say throughout my journey, I've balanced multiple responsibilities at the same time. I can give an example for when I was completing my previous master's degree, after relocating to Canada while managing my professional commitments and also more recently, I've supported the analytics initiatives alongside teaching and executive leadership responsibilities with JCA Ottawa. And, that really strengthened my approach to structured prioritization. Even for me, I believe global MBA, I'm really planning my schedule deliberately so I can, effectively stay fully engaged with the coursework and also I can contribute effectively to the team-based learning environment. And because it's a global online format, it helps me to manage my professional and personal life effectively so I can prioritize every bit of it based on the time commitment and the structured way of learning.
Okay, excellent. Um, so thank you for that situation. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit about, what you learned from that situation, from those situations, and how you've applied that maybe in future situations?
Definitely. I think making sure I understand my current plan towards this specific global MBA from Smith, I think the learning plays an elemental role towards any organization, or let's say if we really want to manage our personal careers as well. So, as I already explained the situation, the learnings which I'm really gonna implement is how I can bring the importance to my prevailing and ongoing work, right? Based upon the work commitment and based upon the time management and the time which is left for me to make sure I bring that learning and make sure I actually connect with the global cohort based on the program curriculum makes the best fit for me, right? And I think that's the best step for me to understand how I can make everyone, instead of making sure I only stay ahead in the game. I'm a person who actually loves to bring that energy, make sure people understand the learning perspective and how we can actually manage the diverse positions in a more structured manner. I think that's the best way to stay and connected with the Smith Global MBA. And one of the examples which I really want to share, maybe I can share an example where I worked with the University of Ottawa on a large and complex project where there were several stakeholders and they had different priorities. Based upon their priorities, I came up with a framework. Instead of listening to a person who raised their voice to a high volume, I understood their impact, the criticality, and the risk based on their specific needs. So I think that kind of example really helped me to understand that prioritization matters a lot, and learning from it plays a critical role when we are managing multiple people across diverse sectors that include complex project and program management ability.
Well, and speaking of managing and working with individuals from diverse backgrounds, are you able to share an example of a time where you were working with individuals from various backgrounds of all different domains, and maybe share a little bit about your role in working through that to ensure that it was a cohesive working environment?
Uh, Perfect. So I can share one example. I can say that is very strong from my previous experience leading delivery of the collection verifications branch performance dashboard at the Canada Revenue Agency, where I worked with a diverse team across cloud engineering, technical support, data science, architecture, governance, and the other three directorates with different KPI definitions, I can say. And because of the priorities varied across several groups, my role focused on creating alignment early. You know, Therefore, I facilitated the working sessions where teams jointly defined KPIs and reporting expectations. So everyone understood both what we were building and why it mattered, right? So I can say throughout my delivery, I maintained cohesion through clear user stories, also shared delivery guardrails and regular sprint demos that kept stakeholder aligned. Hence, as a result, I can say the data accuracy improved by 40% and the executive confidence at that time in the dashboard increased drastically. And for me, that experience showed that diverse um, teams perform best when alignment is created early and ownership is shared. And I think that is why Smith's team based learning model strongly resonates with how I already work. And I can bring that experience and make sure the team at Smith understand how we can actually work across plethora of team members.
Okay, thank you for that. And going back into that example, can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about what was most complex about that experience?
I think, the biggest complexity was that each directorate initially had different KPIs, right? Key performance indicators, definitions, and reporting expectations. which created early misalignment. And to address that, I facilitated the working sessions where stakeholders, engineers, data scientists, technical leaders, and governance teams aligned on definitions together. And the that shared ownership of the solution created a sense of belonging, and it also reduced the rework later in delivery. And that experience, I learned from that experience is that cohesion in several cultures and teams depends on creating clarity early around the definitions, the decision frameworks. And I think that's a principle I continue applying in cross-functional sectors today as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Uh, Final question, then I'll turn it over to questions for you. Was there a question you were hoping or expecting that I would ask and I haven't asked? And what was that question? And you can answer it.
I think it's a really thoughtful question, and it's a surprised one for me. I think there are several parameters where we need to understand how Smith needs to know what distinguishes the most successful global MBA participants at Smith. I was thinking you gonna probably ask me this question, but as you want me to answer, I'm happy to go into the explanation mode of this question, right? So I believe when it comes to the global MBA participants at Smith, and I think Smith is one of the most reputed and prestigious university across Canada in terms of delivering fantastic and outstanding education via Smith Studio, right? And that's one of the capabilities Smith possesses. Instead of delivering education through offline and self-paced course, they're actively involved in live cohort sessions where a student or a Smith, I can say the connector actually talks and asks questions from the professor directly instead of waiting for an email exchange or making sure they are assigned to a specific time and zone. I think that kind of two-way interaction helps a student to understand how they really want to progress in their careers if they're actually getting some live knowledge. And I think that is one of the key perspectives Smith participants distinguishes at MBA school. And I really appreciate the kind of different learnings because I had a conversation with one of your advisors in the past that Smith is already ahead in the AI game, if I talk about it. So the current problems and the shift we are facing in the AI era, Smith had fantastic professors, right? They have a professors who understand the nuances before this comes into pictures. I can say a very previous years ago. So the expert faculty at Smith, they understand what kind of knowledge they need to bring to the cohort so students can learn from it and implement in their respective cultures. So that was
Okay.
the question I was thinking you may probably gonna ask, but that's okay. I just asked and then I
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
good. I'm glad. Thank you for the just one sort of housekeeping question, just for getting a sense, like what other business programs have you applied to and where are you at, in terms of like this like the process with each of those?
So do you want me to elaborate on the business program at Smith or across different universities?
Yeah, no, don't need to elaborate, just share which other programs you have applied to or you're planning on applying to and maybe where you're at in the process
With Smith or with any other university?
with other universities. Yeah, what other universities you're applying. Yeah.
So I think at current phase of my career, I'm mainly targeting the online or in hybrid MBA programs, which gives me most flexibility and a way I can actually learn based on my experience because I'm really excited to learn the investment management, finance strategy, and the legal part of it, as I explained earlier. So I'm looking forward for the MBA, which can give me a boost. Plus, the brand name should carries a lot of weightage towards our career progressions, right? So probably I already applied to few universities in US, and I'm also targeting to apply to UBC as well.
Okay, and which universities in the US?
It's HALT.
Okay,
And I was also thinking to apply to University of Buffalo and Berkeley as well.
okay. And where are you at in the process with those other ones, UBC, Holt, and Berkeley?
I already had a word with the UBC in the past, how the process looks like, what are the other formalities I need to complete before my application goes into the consideration part.
Okay,
So I submitted my HALT application. I'm already in the verge of submitting my UBC application as well. And I think
awesome.
the conversations which I had with them was a fruitful one. They really like my profile and they are good to proceed with my profile.
All right, awesome. Thank you for being transparent. I appreciate that. And what questions? So thank you, sorry, Harleen, for taking the time and sharing your experiences and your motivations for pursuing um, this MBA program, specifically here at Smith. Now I'm going to turn it over to you for any questions you may have for me.
Oh, definitely. So, first of all, I really want to thank you, Brenda, for taking out your precious time to have a conversation to understand my career progressions, my aspirations, and how I can be a um, cohort oriented student towards the global MBA at Smith School. And thank you again for having this conversation. I appreciate your time and energy you put into this specific interview round. I really wanted to be a part of it, and I look forward to the next steps as well.
Yeah, my
So,
pleasure. Yeah, my
I do
pleasure.
have a couple of questions to ask. So first is, how do students typically leverage leadership coaching throughout the program? And what are the other opportunities to explore strategy and AI transformation interactions through electives or applied projects? And finally, how Queens is associated with other career coaching development perspectives for a person who is like me, who is targeting directorial positions across the diverse sectors. Is there any development or a career enhancement program, or I can say sector or discipline, does Smith has? So
Okay.
that's all from my end,
Okay.
and thank you
Thank you.
again for your precious time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Harleen. Appreciate all the information and insight into your background and your questions as well. So in terms of next steps, I think as you probably I think Bethany may have let you know that we're going to be meeting as a committee tomorrow. So I'll capture kind of our notes and so our hope is that we'll be able to communicate a decision back to you within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, sure. I look forward to it. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. All
Thanks.
right, and cut. Breathe.
Okay. Oh my God. I can now breathe. I can take
Yeah.
some few minutes for me. Okay. So I have questions for you, Brenda. You always ask new questions in every session. I was like, okay, I'm surprised again today. You again surprised me with those questions. So I think we can keep the recording on, right? So the first question you asked, is it okay to say, because you asked me, did you apply to other universities? So do we need to be transparent? Because I didn't apply. So how the university sees the candidate, like she already applied to other universities. Why she's interviewing with us, right? What's her plan? She's gonna choose us or another university based upon the ranking or so. Do you think it's a good to say that I applied and where I am in my stage with other universities? What's your take on this?
Yeah, so I feel like it's unlike a job where it seems like
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not,
in job they
yeah,
ask this question. I was like,
yeah, it's not really you feel like it's not as appropriate to share like, oh yeah, I'm applying to a lot of different jobs. But with a business school, it's a little different that there is an expectation that you are, you may be looking at one or two other schools. Um, I think it can also, we talked about that, can give you maybe a little bit leverage for potentially, in terms of like scholarshiping and admissions as well. And I think it sends a message they're not the only game in town, although this is your top. Like you want to also communicate on one hand, this is the top school that you want, but on the other hand, yeah, you're exploring a couple other options. And that's completely normal. So I would be transparent with them. And so the challenge is if you fib in an interview, if they come back and ask for, I don't know, you never know, right? If documentation or to follow up and there's a discrepancy, I'm always a fan about just being transparent and saying, right now, because of the deadline, I've prioritized my application on Smith. It's my top choice. However, that said, I'm in conversations and close to submitting an application to Holt and UBC, and looking at a couple other schools in the States. And let's leave it at that. You don't have to over explain. You don't have to go into your reasoning. You already did. You
but
already shared all your,
you already asked me where you are, with whom you applied. So you already went through the details, right? So
yeah.
I mean, is it okay if some in the interviewer asks me and I should be in the details of it?
Yeah, like I don't think you have to give the logic behind why you've applied because you already told them at the beginning your motivations, right? You already went into
Hmm.
that. So, yeah, I think be as transparent as possible. But you don't have to give like a ton of details. Unless they want more, they can ask and follow up for more.
Okay. And the question you asked me, okay, I'll keep in mind, right? Maybe probably I'm gonna watch this recording today, the last part of it. So one question you said, I mean, you asked me that you were thinking to ask, but you didn't ask me. So what? So that question I just made up in the air. The question which I was supposed to ask you, I asked by myself, and then I just answered. I don't know from where I got that answer. From just I collaborated all the learnings and I provided you with that answer, right? I mean, sometimes they can ask or not, right? So maybe there is something, one question I received during my interview. So I'm not sure, probably they're gonna ask me or not, right? So they are, one of the interviewers asked me during my job interview, what is one thing is you have which is not in your resume? What is the one thing?
I was going to ask you that question actually too.
So
So, yeah,
like
yeah.
how should I say? Like, what should, maybe my personal hobbies, but I think I already include my personal hobbies as well in the resume. How should we articulate this question?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's intended. I do like that question. It's intended to learn a little bit more about you. So it's another opportunity for you to, yeah, like sell yourself. So if there is a particular aspect or experience that you have that just isn't shining, it might be alluded on the resume, but it isn't like you just have, because again, it was only 2 pages, right? You've got your resume, we got it down to 2 pages. But if there's really something or a project or something that you're just super proud of, or maybe like the JCI, your progression there, like you touch upon it in your
Hmm.
intro, but
Hmm.
maybe that's something that you want to just highlight and say it's there, but what's not on my resume is like the like how much effort and how much impact I'd had and how much I progressed with them.
Hmm.
It could be that. It could also, as I think of your experiences, I mean, you've got all your certifications with AI, but I think you could elaborate on, how you're always somebody who has a growth mindset. And as you can see, like continually taking different courses, AI is something that you're really focused on right now. So it could
Hmm.
be that. And it could be, like you said, you did already talk a little bit about your hobbies. Um,
Hmm.
so
Or maybe
yeah.
I can talk about the awards I received, right, with
Yes.
JCI. I mean, they are already on my resume, but there is nothing to the Flash mentorship. So recently, I mentored a couple of students, right, during the Flash mentorship program with the PMI. So
Yeah.
currently, I'm working as a Flash mentor. I can include that as well,
Yeah.
being in my
Yeah.
leadership journey, right? Or maybe I did some of the I was a part of Microsoft's AI Fest challenge. So I won the world records holder at Microsoft. So maybe I can include that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, so there was one question which you asked me, and I think I was just thinking how to answer it. What was that? Uh, there was one question which you asked me. I was just
The values one, that pick one of the values
no, 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 no.
and
I think
no
not that one. What was that?
career
Uh,
goals.
Career goal values. There's one question where you actually asked me not the current affairs, right? I mean, you asked me the current affairs in an indirect manner, right?
Yeah.
So I actually answered to some extent. And there was one question. Okay, you can give your feedback. Let me recall
Why
it.
don't I run through some of my feedback and
Yeah, yeah,
then
please.
if it comes through
So
or if
first
it
of
comes
all,
up.
score me based
Oh,
upon the situation, vocabulary, everything today, which we had, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm still leaning on a 9 today, which is good. Like it's a good. You would get admitted. You would get admitted. And here's why not a 10. Just a couple things. I love how gracious you are. Again, all the examples, I think they, for the most part,
Yeah.
lined up with what I was asking for. Clearly, you have like you're showing that there's some good leadership. There's like your themes are coming through. The
Mhm.
passion for AI, you're a continuous learner, have a growth mindset, and very driven. Like I come motivated, very driven as well. So those things absolutely are coming through for me in the interview. From a tone and structure, like you like everything that you were saying, like you weren't too wordy for the most part. One part, and I'll give more specifics in a moment. But for the most part, you were yeah, like I could understand the stories and what you were saying and
How to touch 9.5 or 10 in terms of
well,
to
that's
get
what I'm going to give
more,
you. Yeah.
yeah, to
Yeah.
get the
So
scholarship part as well. So then
yeah.
they actually, so I just want to make myself, or I want to showcase myself that I'm a really standout applicant. They should include me, or they should offer me the acceptance letter where I gonna make impact across their
Yeah.
cohort students. So
Yeah.
how, yeah.
So here are the specific things. Um, so the JCI career goal question. So your answer was when I asked your short-term goal, you said to help apply to JCI. And I also think like it's if you like they may not know what JCI is. So I think giving a little context that
So
and
the
I
way
think sharing.
I said, right, I was thinking the way I said KPI, key performance indicators. The people don't know what is short forms are. So instead of JCI, Junior Chamber International, a youth development organization that helps create
Yeah.
leaders for upcoming generations, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like that was the one answer I feel, and I've given you coaching on this before, to being a little bit more specific, because I think you are looking for full time role. So I would be like as specific as you can in terms of the type of company. If there's not an industry that you're focused in on, like functionally what you're looking at. And I do like all the other pieces that you share about how you want to apply, the strategy and your technology and the intersection of like,
Yeah, I think you asked me this question, right? Which companies or organizations are you targeting as of today? So, do you want me to be in very specific, the IT world and even I should name the companies as well?
you could give a couple examples of a couple companies that are of interest to you, but I think at very least giving like the space, like whether it's the industry and or like I said, the function
It's
of
better
what you
to be
might be
very
looking for.
specific. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
If an interviewer
yeah,
asks me the experience I gained so far and where I want to go ahead after post MBA, being a Smith alumni, right? And how I can get into the other perspective. Maybe I can say I'm looking forward to connect with the Smith alumni and see what kind of opportunities we can actually explore with the Smith alumni. And based upon my diverse background, also in addition to it, I'm targeting IT sectors where there is a more emphasis on the strategy and investment management domain, something like that, because it shows the learnings which I gained so far, which I'll be gaining post MBA. I'm really gonna apply in my next career trajectory, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. I think if they ask what, are your career goals, then answering like I said, like that last part of it, if they ask you, how do you plan on getting there? Or maybe you could follow up and how you plan on getting there, like definitely taking advantage of the alumni community,
Okay.
getting out there and
Then go into
speaking and
the
doing some
how
networking.
part. Otherwise, it's
Yeah,
what, then it's only my. Okay.
yeah.
It's all about how they curate their question. I need to answer in a specific manner.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's exactly it. Just the the big quick picture questions. It's actually The Economist and the Financial Times. So make sure, because you said
Oh
you read
yeah,
the
I don't know
economic.
that. I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
to be more accurate, I don't know
yeah.
the newspapers in Canada. The Economic Time, I had one postcard, so I had heard economic. What are the newspapers we have in Canada? What are their names?
Well, there's the Globe and Mail. Well, see, this is the thing. I don't encourage you to embellish. I feel like, share what you do, read, or maybe that you follow a few podcasts, but maybe just list one or two things. But you
But
follow
you said.
technology. Like, embrace the fact that you follow technology and that you do keep a pulse on
So I can say I
what's going.
follow Substack on technology based, and I also I'm quite frequently user of LinkedIn, right? So where I actually post and write
Yeah,
current job trends and
absolutely. Yeah, you're
yeah,
very active
but
on LinkedIn.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
says when newspapers like, what should I say? When you ask me specific newspaper, I don't
I know.
know.
I know. I was kind of being a little bit of a goof, but I want you to be prepared for that so you're not caught
Okay.
off, that you're
Okay.
not caught off
So,
guard.
but you said Economic Times? No, I already said, but what was that name
Well,
of
there's the
newspaper?
Financial Times, the
Financial
Economist,
Times.
Globe and Mail, um,
Economist, right? Economist. Okay. Financial.
The
There is
Economist,
a
yeah. Economist. Yeah.
economist, sorry, I
I
think
know, I do. Yeah.
Global Times, Financial Times, right? Because
The
the
Globe and
Economic
Mail.
Times,
Yeah.
the Global Mail, the Economic Times, I think it's in US. I
Okay.
thought it's already here as well, so I just named it.
Yeah, I think the
But okay.
Economist is a US. It's a North American. Same thing with the Financial Times. So, um,
Financial Times and Global Mail,
I
right?
Globe and Mail is Canadian. Globe and Mail is
Yeah.
Canadian. So,
But Financial Times is easy to remember, Financial Times.
yeah.
Or
Yeah, and so
Global
read an
Mail,
article
I
or
will.
two at least. Then, if you're going to quote the Financial Times, make sure you've just kind of referenced an article from there.
But
But
the way I explain the oil and energy issue, they still persist, right, in today's world. It's
yeah,
still a big economic issue, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
I,
the
I
way
just
you
don't want to make
yeah, yeah, and the
on
way you
the air
explained
anything.
it the other day, I thought you did a great job. That the two or three things that are impacting the economy, you did a lovely job. Um,
On that
Likely the
day,
question, just so you don't get too nervous, they're likely, if they ask you any question, it probably will be a question that, what do you read? What kinds of things do you follow and read? And maybe you just get to pick the topic. So
okay.
again, just play to your strengths, talk about AI, talk about technology, talk about the things you post.
Okay.
Leadership, if you post things about leadership and you're uh, and big into that too.
Okay, because you said when what do you read, what do you watch? So it includes everything based on the global current prevailing issues or based on my interest as well, right? So they just want to
Yeah,
understand my personal perspective.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would
Because
say,
I
yeah.
was like, okay, what I should answer in the some of the questions they more or less towards the same, but the way you formed was different, right?
Yes, yeah, I know. Um, the time management question, I think overall you did very well. It's just when I probed. So when I ask a follow-up question, you don't need to give in a whole big new example of anything. Like it's usually one or two lines, right?
Time
That got a
manage.
little wordy. I think I
Which one, Brenda? What was the
the
question
different
based on?
priorities. So, like I'd asked you, when you have various priorities, and then I think I asked you like what did you learn from that situation? I think I asked you what you learned from that situation.
So, okay. Managing priorities if you want to opt this program, right?
Yeah.
So when it says learning from it, so do I need to explain the example with the learning or just a learning
Yeah, just a learning. You could cite very quickly an experience, but you don't have to get into that
all the
same level of
details?
detail. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, when it comes to the learning. Otherwise, if they ask me a specific example, initially I should give, but in terms of learnings, a high level learning or a one line
Yeah.
say, I implemented this learning in this situation. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. A couple lines and that should be Yeah, nice. And if they want to follow up and say, okay, well, actually, can you share more about that? They'll follow up to ask, but
Okay.
as well. And then the diversity question. I thought overall,
Diverse
I mean, I've heard
teams.
that experience before. I feel like, and I don't know if maybe I missed it, but like breaking it down, in what capacities we've talked about this, like just making sure you're clear on how, like, in what capacities these teams are diverse, or what makes this team, the teams or the individuals that are diverse. So maybe just elaborating a little bit more on that. We've talked about that one before.
Yeah, so I think I explained that as well.
Did you?
Like the
Okay,
team,
maybe I missed
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Maybe I missed it
the
because I was taking
team
some notes.
includes um, um, stakeholders, data scientists, technical support, procurement. I explained that part, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So
I
that's my,
explained
yeah,
it.
I just wanted just to make sure that explaining it, and even that next level of like why they're, like, why it matters that they're diverse, like data scientists maybe care about the numbers, but possibly others might care about their timelines and the people, like, do you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like what their vested interests
Okay.
um
Based upon the
were.
diverse, what are their responsibilities, what they're accountable for? Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think that was good. Um, yeah, I think those are the, oh, yeah, sorry. Sometimes my printing is so messy because I'm scribbling quickly.
No
I think
worries.
it's lovely when you thank, you're gonna thank Carrie. You've had a lot of interactions with the team as well. And I don't know, I just think it might be a nice touch for you to just
Yeah.
express, because I think
I
she's
think they
probably
already
leads the
know.
team. Yeah,
Yeah, she probably know everything because I had a word with Bethany, Gloria,
yeah,
Elizabeth. So she's when she gonna be there on for with me on I think on Wednesday. She probably gonna have my complete background, and I think the Bethany already briefed her regarding because we had a several
yeah,
email exchanges right till now.
yeah,
So she knows that she's coming from this background. She didn't give the GMAT. So, but she's coming up with the whole personality. Maybe she already
yeah,
looked at my LinkedIn profile, or maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So
yeah,
she already
yeah,
knows the background. But I think as you said, I should also say that I had a couple of exchanges with the other advisors at Queen's where they provide me a fruitful and enhanced information regarding the global MBA program, which motivated me to apply at Smith Business School. So I really want to thank each one of the team member, including you, who gave me the support and guidance to be a Smith student.
yeah, yeah. I think that's good. I think that's a nice, yeah, a nice touch. And that's it. That's very specific feedback. I thought overall, I thought you did, again, you did great. I know I was kind of putting it to you a little bit so that
So even
so you
based on
prepare.
today's interview, I'm good to go with the offer letter according to your
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah. I could tell that you would have been very prepared, and that you are excited about the program, that you're invested in this program, and that's a big deal too.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes well. So what I said, I need to paste my little bit here and there.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh my God. But there was one question which you asked me in the end. I was thinking why, but let me see if I can remember that. I don't remember. So do you remember the question which you asked almost in the end?
I thought it was
Uh,
the question, like, what's a question that I haven't, that you didn't expect?
but there was a
The,
question
and
before
then
this
the,
one as well. What was the
yeah,
question before this one?
yeah. So I
Yeah,
asked you, well, I asked you about how do you define leadership? That one, that was at the beginning.
yeah.
How do you define leadership? An example that speaks to that, like the diversity, that's the teamwork, the time management. Then I asked you, like I said, the question, what other schools you're applying to, and the one question that you didn't expect, or you were hoping that I would ask, or anticipating that I would ask.
Mhm.
That's, I think
So I
those are the only
think
questions.
the question which is coming to my mind was I was thinking regarding the what do you listen and read, right?
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
newspaper part, I think that was I was thinking, what should I
yeah,
say?
yeah, in the bigger
Okay.
picture. Yeah,
Hmm,
yeah,
hmm,
good.
hmm, hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Well, we're gonna see you tomorrow at 4. We're gonna do this again. as
Yeah,
well?
definitely. So tomorrow I'm gonna be more prepared. So I think tomorrow is gonna be the best of best. So I just want to make
Why don't you
sure.
even dress up? Maybe even if you want to
Yeah,
dress
I
up a
think I
little bit.
should because in an email they already mentioned it's better because it's make sure you consider it as a formal interview, so you
Yeah,
properly dress up. So
yeah.
tomorrow I'm gonna maybe prepare like the way I should be on Wednesday. I prepare the shirt, coat, and little bit
Good.
of
Maybe I'll
makeup.
dress up a little bit too myself,
Yeah,
okay?
exactly. Let's get
Yeah,
that real feeling of
yeah,
interview, right?
yeah. Excellent, excellent. Well, I have to run now because I have to start cooking dinner. I'm already late cooking dinner.
Oh, perfect. But thanks
Yeah,
again, Brenda, for
you're
your
welcome.
time, energy,
You're
and the
welcome.
way you're putting your efforts. I hope we are almost there. It's just the last
We're
stage. I
almost
just want
there.
to make sure I
Yeah,
don't get anxious and I don't feel like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
what I did. And I don't want to make myself anxious because when I'm anxious, my words they don't come with me.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just spread here and there, and I don't want it to happen. No, not
No,
at
no.
any cost. I
And the
can't
best
afford
way
it.
then is just to keep preparing. So doing one more of these tomorrow, and maybe we'll see. But about
Yeah, yeah.
what
Let me
Wednesday.
do my things at my end, and then everything goes well. I just hope everything goes well, and then
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, you're
hope for
doing
the
all the
best.
right things. You're doing everything in your power right now to make sure it does go well. So have some good confidence in that.
Yeah, it's just I want to make myself confident. I don't lose myself in the process of
Yeah,
because we spend a lot energy, a lot of time. Like I put a lot of time in getting this
yeah.
done, right? And even from
Yes.
your side. So I really appreciate your guidance, your support, and the way you prepare me and making sure I'm confident enough because because I have a lot of in me, right? I mean, you always say it's just that you need someone to motivate you, right? And that is one of the key aspect of a coach, and that's what you are.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that that's landing and that's landing with you. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Brenda.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Have a lovely evening and we will see you tomorrow. I'll send you all the video shortly. I'm just gonna get some things and so you should see it this
Perfect.
evening.
Sure, no
And
worries.
then we'll
And
make sure you get the link.
apologies for getting you late for your dinner, but yeah,
That's
thanks.
okay.
Thanks.
That's okay. All good. Okay. Bye.
Thanks.